Charlie Gasparino, the question comes up here, particularly now in light of these high school protesters, most of whom can't even vote, and a lot of whom are speaking on behalf of illegals, maybe among their own ranks, who are afraid of the prospect of a President Trump. And I'm thinking high school, that age group, 14, 15, 16, 17, someone is putting them up to this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, listen, what the prior guest just said was pretty funny. I couldn't help but chuckle about how these kids want to get out of their midterms, and so maybe that's why they're out there. This is much more organized than that. These are organized, often violent. I can tell you that a friend of mine in Manhattan had a bottle thrown at him and a bottle thrown at his dog as he was witnessing what went on 6th Avenue the other night. So these are violent protests, highly organized. If they're 14, 15, and 16-year-olds, they're being organized by 20 and 30-year-olds who are probably being financed by everybody from the Socialist Workers' Party to George Soros to just about everybody else. This is a left-wing attack on our democracy. It's violent. It's despicable. For the president not to stand up and say that this has to stop is an abomination. I mean, does he think that this is like one way to destroy Donald Trump? Getting into office by letting these idiots foment violence and by the way, anti-Americanism. They're like, half of these people should be considered terrorists.
We've got public schools, we've got education system in general that needs reform. I mean, these kids should be in the classroom studying the issues that we're talking about in this election, not on the streets protesting. We've got a lot of work to do. And the problem right now is you see all this activity and it's not addressing the real needs in the country. And so I would just encourage these protesters to step back and say, what can I actually be doing in my community to be helping people? Streets, throwing rocks, throwing bottles, rioting. It's just not the way to go right now.
I'm all for protesting all that, but shouldn't they wait to see what he does first?
Yeah, I mean, it's putting the cart before the horse. You know, we have some indications on what the Trump administration could do, and there could be some potential for opportunity for young people, for jobs to return to this generation. But, you know, I do think, and picking up on some of the comments made earlier, that this is driven by more than just young people. This is driven by people who have an agenda. You know,
here's the thing, Neil. You and I are old enough to remember the early 70s and the late 60s. For every violent left-wing reaction to the Vietnam War, to attacks on American culture at the time, playing with fire when you go out there and you pull stuff like this. And I'll tell you, does the President of the United States want social unrest equivalent to the early 70s, late 60s? And if he does, then he's going to keep his mouth shut. But if he doesn't, and he wants to leave office on a very high note, he should condemn these right now before the country.
I really think the president should continue to say, look, we have election results, this is done, we have a direction to move in the future, and we have to support our president. And look at what Trump has talked about so far since he's won the election. He's been talking about tax reform. That helps everybody. He's been talking about regulatory reform. That helps everybody. He's been talking about health care reform. That helps everybody. He's actually focused largely on the non-controversial issues where everybody stands to gain in some way, shape, or form. I applaud him for doing that. There's things he could be talking more about that are divisive. He's not doing that. And so I do think Hillary Clinton, President Obama should be out there saying, look, he's giving this an honest effort right now, and he deserves at least our patience as he works through this transition.
So I would not advise people who feel strongly or are concerned about some of the issues that have been raised during the course of the campaign. I wouldn't advise them to be silent. And it's not. Democracy is hard work. In the United States, if 43% of eligible voters do not vote, then democracy is weakened. If we can't discriminate between serious arguments and propaganda, then we have problems.
Assalamu alaikum. Many other Americans have Muslims in their families or have lived in a Muslim-majority country. I know because I am one of them. I have known Islam on 3 continents before coming to the region where it was first revealed. That experience guides my conviction.
You're absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith.
As the Holy Quran tells us, the Holy Quran teaches that, the Holy Quran tells us, and the Holy Quran also says, Islam is not part of the problem in combating violent extremism. It is an important part of promoting peace.
We are no longer a Christian nation.
We do not consider ourselves a Christian nation. The United States has been enriched by Muslim Americans. Since our founding, American Muslims have enriched the United States. Islam has always been a part of America's story.
He did bow to the Muslim king, while he did not do it to the British Queen of England. And by bowing, he showed the world that I am subservient. I do bow down to you as a Muslim king, something no other president has done with Saudi Arabia. The Saudi king is his peer. He is not his subordinate in order to bow for him. And this is exactly what Obama did.
Speak as clearly and as plainly as I can. America is not and never will be at war with Islam.
Thank you, and Eid Shoma Mubarak.
The Clinton Foundation received over $25 million from Saudi Arabia, and they also funded 20% of her election campaign. Saudi Arabia's massive influence on the Clintons and Obama administration has not gone unnoticed. The damaging results of Islamist influence on the USA and Europe is worthy of another dedicated report, as this is just the tip of the corrupt iceberg. But you can no longer deny that Hillary Clinton is actively working with a global movement whose goal is to destroy Western civilization, just for the selfish benefit of money and power. Humor is the previously hidden link between the Clintons and Saudi terrorism. Dozens of other people and organizations were left out of this.
I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm going to say it, and I hate to say it, but if I win, I am going to instruct my Attorney General to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception. There has never been anything like it, and we're going to have a special prosecutor. When I speak, I go out and speak. The people of this country are furious. In my opinion, the people that have been long-term workers at the FBI are furious. There has never been anything like this, where emails and you get a subpoena, and after getting the subpoena, you delete 33,000 emails. People have been Their lives have been destroyed for doing 1/5 of what you've done, and it's a disgrace. And honestly, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Secretary Clinton, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Delete them.
Allow her to respond, please.
Personal emails, not official.
33,000?
Not well. We turned over 35,000. So it was.
What about the other 15,000?
Please.
I'm putting in more than, by the time it's finished, I'll have more than $100 million invested. I asked Hillary, why doesn't she make $250 million by being in office? She used the power of her office to make a lot of money. Why isn't she funding, not for $100 million, but why don't you put 10 or 20 or 25 or $30 million into your own campaign? It's $30 million less for special interests that will tell you exactly what to do. And it would really, I think, be a nice sign to the American public. Why aren't you putting some money in? You have a lot of it. You've made a lot of it because of the fact that you've been in office. You made a lot of it while you were Secretary of State, actually. So why aren't you putting money into your own campaign? I'm just curious. So you can say any way you want to say it, but Bill Clinton was abusive to women. Hillary Clinton attacked those same women and attacked them viciously. 4 of them are here tonight. One of the women, who is a wonderful woman, at 12 years old, was raped at 12. Her client, she represented, got him off, and she's seen laughing on 2 separate occasions, laughing at the girl who was raped. Kathy Shelton, that young woman, is here with us tonight. So don't tell me about words. I apologize for those words. But what President Clinton did, he was impeached. He lost his license to practice law. He had to pay an $850,000 fine to one of the women, Paula Jones, who's also here tonight. And I will tell you that when Hillary brings up a point like that, and she talks about words that I said 11 years ago, I think it's disgraceful, and I think she should be ashamed of herself, if you want to know the truth. I'd like to know, Anderson, why aren't you bringing up the emails? I'd like to know. Why aren't you getting
brought up the emails?
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. And it hasn't been finished at all. Look, now she's blaming. She got caught in a total lie. Her papers went out to all her friends at the banks, Goldman Sachs and everybody else. And she said things, WikiLeaks, that just came out. And she lied. Now she's blaming the lie on the late, great Abraham Lincoln. That's one that I haven't. Okay, Honest Abe. Honest Abe never lied. That's the good thing. That's the big difference between Abraham Lincoln and you. That's a big, big difference. We're talking about some difference.
Donald Trump cannot win a choice election.
Without college-educated white voters, Donald Trump can't win.
Because if Donald Trump can't win over the overwhelming majority of members of his own party, he just can't get the votes he needs to win the election.
Can Donald Trump win a general election? My view is no, but we'll see.
A racist, abusive coward who could permanently damage the fabric of our society.
Do the math.
Do we really want to give nuclear weapons to a man whose signature move is firing?
Firing things?
But we can end this nightmare before it begins.
We can save the day.
For our children.
For our children.
For our children.
For our communities.
For our communities.
For our communities.
For America.
For America. For America.
All it takes is...
See, this isn't just an election, it's a tipping point.
For the country.
For the world.
For your world.
If you don't know how or where to register,
go to SaveTheDay.vote.
SaveTheDay.vote.
Make yourself heard.
Tell the world that you care about what happens to it.
And if you do vote
and help protect this country from fear and ignorance.
Mark will do a nude scene in his next movie.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo will do a nude scene in his next movie.
Media, the special interest, the lobbyists, the donors, they're all against me. I'm self-funding my campaign. I don't owe anybody anything. I only owe it to the American people to do a great job. They are really trying to stop me. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. We're going to win. We're going to win it for the people. We're going to win it for our country. We're going to make America great again.
Look what this state is doing at the moment compared to 4 years ago, right? You see the blue fill in? It's all Trump.
Different story. It's a different story.
And the same thing up here in Wisconsin, too. You know, we've been messing with these maps all night. Watch down here 4 years ago, Megan. Right over here.
Yep.
All the blue counties. And Trump's message has worked in that part of the country. And this is what the map looked like in 2012. Mm-hmm. And we've been asking for months now, what's it going to look like now in 2016? And so far, this is the way it's filling in. Can she win? She certainly can.
But just to reiterate, she has to win everything to win at this point? Is that how it's looking?
She could lose in New Hampshire, perhaps. She could lose the state of Maine. She could lose Alaska. Mm-hmm. But everything else, I mean, back on this thread, as it stands right now, it's all Michigan.
It's incredible.
And that would do it.
Wisconsin, and there goes her blue wall. That's 10 electoral votes. That brings Trump up to 232, and he has officially pierced the blue wall that she needed to hold on to.
Hey, they've been wrong about the wars. They've been wrong about jobs. They've been wrong about everything. And the question is, are they stupid? The question is, are they stupid or do they have a plan? I actually think for the most part, they have a plan, but some are not too smart. And you're right about the swamp. Say it again, right? You better believe it. Boy, that is... That is a, you know, I said that about a week ago. And I didn't like it that much. Didn't sound that great. And the whole world picked it up. So it shows you what I know. It's crazy. Drain the swamp. We're going to drain the swamp of Washington. We're going to have fun doing it. We're all doing it together. It is funny.